Some people feel deep down that they weren't born to live an ordinary life. Maybe you've always had that strange feeling, like you were different, like you never quite fit into the world the way others do. But what if that's not your imagination? What if it's a sign? According to ancient spiritual teachings, there are hidden marks that appear only in people who were chosen for something greater. These marks aren't always scars or visible signs. Sometimes they show up as patterns on the body, energy in your presence, or even in how people react to you. The point is, you didn't come into this world by accident. Those who carry these marks have a mission to awaken, to break cycles, to guide others. And even if you're not fully aware of it yet, these marks may already be revealing themselves in your life. In this video, you'll discover the 5 hidden marks that only the chosen ones carry, and what each one reveals about your purpose, your energy, and your spiritual mission. As we unveil each sign, you may be surprised by how much is already inside you, and once you recognize it, it's hard to forget, because after that, you'll never look at yourself or your life the same way again. So if something inside you is already saying, "This message is for me," trust it. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment below. I recognize who I am, and I accept my path. Because this isn't just a video, it's a mirror. And once you see the truth, the journey truly begins. Not everyone notices it, but some of us came into this world different, with a strange feeling from a young age. As if life never quite fit the way it did for others. As if you were here, but at the same time, felt like you came from somewhere else. And no matter how much you tried to adapt, something inside you always whispered, "You are not ordinary." Ancient spiritual teachings say that chosen souls are marked even before they're born. These marks are not visible to everyone. They don't just appear on the body, they appear in behaviors, in pain, in recurring patterns, in the intensity with which you feel everything. They're signs scattered inside and out that reveal, you didn't come to Earth just to exist. You came to awaken something much greater. But be warned, these marks are not spiritual trophies, they are invitations, portals, reminders of a mission you may have forgotten, but are now beginning to remember. And the more you recognize these marks, the more your life starts to make sense. That's exactly what this video is here to show you. The signs that the soul leaves in the body, in behavior, and in experience, when it's ready to fulfill what it came here to do. Now open your heart, connect with yourself, and pay attention to every word, because the first mark may already be alive inside you. Some people don't just live, they feel everything. Before they even understand the world, they're already absorbing the environment, picking up on other people's emotions, sensing things before they happen. These people are often called too sensitive, emotional, intense. But what few people know is that this sensitivity isn't weakness. It's a powerful spiritual mark carried only by those who have something greater to fulfill in this life. If you feel everything deeply, pain, joy, silence, unspoken words, that's not a flaw. It's a radar your soul has carried from the beginning, a mark that can't be seen with the eyes, but pulses in the subtle field. From a young age, you may have felt uncomfortable in crowds, repelled by fakeness, a desire to be alone when no one understood you. And behind that, your soul was protecting itself, because it already knew it felt more than others. People marked with this sensitivity can't live on autopilot. They suffer when disconnected from themselves. They're drained by toxic environments, and they can't stand shallow relationships. It's as if the world demands they be tough, rational, guarded. But they aren't, and never will be. because they came with the mission to feel, to notice what others ignore, to transform what others merely survive. This sensitivity may have made you go quiet for fear of being judged. It may have made you doubt yourself, trying to be like everyone else. But the more you tried to fit in, the more life showed you, this isn't your path. You were made to be a bridge between the invisible and the visible. Feeling too much is painful, yes, but it's also a blessing, a tool, a way for life to touch the world through you. If this mark resonates within you, stop hiding, stop shrinking yourself. Your sensitivity is confirmation that you carry light, and no matter how much the world tries to harden you, you already know those who feel deeply also heal deeply. And maybe that's your mission. That's why this is the first mark of the chosen ones. There is a loneliness that has nothing to do with being alone. It happens even when you're surrounded by people. Even at parties, with family, in relationships, you feel a kind of invisible separation. It's like there's a wall between you and the rest of the world. A feeling that no one truly sees you on the inside, that what you feel doesn't fit into ordinary conversations. This loneliness, though silent, screams inside the soul of the chosen. And it's one of the deepest marks you can carry without realizing it. From a very young age, those who carry this mark feel like they don't belong, like they came from somewhere else, like they think and feel in a way that doesn't match the rhythm of the world around them. While others fit in easily, you observe everything from the outside with a more cautious, more reflective gaze. You may have tried to adapt, forced yourself to be normal, but deep down, something in you knew. This adaptation comes at a high cost, the cost of forgetting who you truly are. And that's a pain the chosen can't bear for long. This loneliness, as hard as it may seem, has a deep spiritual purpose. It's a space of protection, a silence created by life itself, so that you can hear something more valuable than any external opinion, your inner voice. Because the chosen, before being sent to guide others, must walk the path of self-discovery. And that meeting rarely happens in noise, distraction, or crowds. It happens in emptiness, in absence, in the silence that only those who've felt alone among everyone are capable of enduring. You may have felt that it's hard to form deep bonds, that friendships don't last, that relationships don't fulfill you, and maybe you've blamed yourself for that. But the truth is that your soul doesn't accept shallow connections. It seeks truth, depth, purpose. And until that appears, it prefers silence over falseness. This selectiveness isn't coldness, it's spiritual maturity. Your energy knows what it's doing, even when your mind doesn't understand yet. If you related to this, know this. That loneliness that once felt like punishment is actually initiation. It pulled you away from distractions to bring you closer to your essence. It separated you from the ordinary to remind you of the extraordinary that exists within you. Don't fight that isolation. Use it as a tool for listening, strengthening, and rebirth. Because the chosen don't get lost by being alone. They find themselves. And that's why this is the second mark, a loneliness that prepares for something much greater. Some marks aren't on the skin, they're on the soul. And even if no one sees them, you feel them. They are silent but heavy. They're wounds that time didn't erase. Childhood situations that still echo, relationships that broke you inside, moments when you had to swallow pain in silence because no one would understand. If you carry scars like these, know this: you are not broken, you are marked, and that mark is part of the path of the chosen. People with a greater spiritual mission usually don't live light lives. On the contrary, they face early pain, abandonment, rejection, losses, traumas that seem unfair. And it's not punishment, it's refinement. It's as if the soul needed to break the shells the world placed on it to access its true essence. Deep scars are not signs of weakness, they're codes of strength. They're proof that, even shattered, you chose to keep going. And that's rarer than you think. Those who carry this emotional mark feel the world with more intensity, but also carry more wisdom. The pain you've lived has taught you to see beyond the surface. You easily recognize pain in others, you embrace, you understand what no one says. That's why the chosen ones are often people who listen more than they speak, who heal with their gaze, who bring peace even when they're at war inside, because their scars radiate compassion. And that's a gift. Those past pains weren't in vain. Each one forged a part of your sensitivity, your empathy, your mission. Maybe you went through it all to be the voice you once needed. Maybe your pain was initiation for your healing and to heal others. Spirituality never wastes suffering. Everything you've lived, if seen with awareness, can become wisdom, service, purpose. And when that happens, the scar becomes a portal. If you feel those emotional scars still pulsing even in silence, stop running from them. Honor each one, not as burdens, but as proof. You didn't survive by accident. You survived because you have something to give. And the chosen always pass through fire before they carry the light. That's why this is the third mark, deep wounds, that turn into healing. Have you ever felt that something was wrong before it even happened? Have you had that strange feeling in your chest, a sudden chill, that inner voice saying, don't go, don't trust, don't push it? And later, found out you were right all along? That's not coincidence. That's not paranoia. That's active intuition. And in the chosen ones, that inner voice is one of the strongest and most challenging marks. Those who carry this mark live with an open channel. They feel before they know. They perceive what's behind words. They see what's behind smiles. It's as if something inside you is always warning you, even when no one else notices anything. And that can be confusing. You start to question yourself. Am I overreacting? Is this just in my head? But it's not. That refined perception is your soul tuned into the unseen. The intuition of the chosen doesn't follow logic. It doesn't come with proof. It shows up as a hunch, a discomfort, a sudden clarity. And when you don't listen, the universe shows you, sometimes with subtle signs, sometimes with big lessons. But over time, you learn. It's better to trust that voice than what your eyes see. Because it never lies. It's direct, silent, and precise. And the more you listen to it, the stronger it gets. Many who carry this mark have tried to silence themselves. They learned to doubt themselves. They were taught to follow rules, numbers, outside opinions. But there comes a point in the journey when that no longer works. Your intuition begins to guide you down unexpected yet aligned paths. People leave your life, doors close, and even without understanding, something inside you feels, this needed to happen. This is how the universe fine-tunes your frequency, teaching you to trust what only you can feel. If you've always had a heightened sixth sense, that sensitivity that anticipates what's to come, don't fight it. Don't try to fit into a world that vibrates low when you already vibrate high. That voice guiding you is the compass of your mission. It knows the way, even when you can't yet see the road. That's why this is the fourth mark of the chosen, an intuition that never fails, because it speaks directly from the soul. There is a restlessness that doesn't go away, a constant feeling that ordinary life, obvious paths, ready-made answers, were never enough. You try to follow what everyone else follows, try to fit in, to build that so-called ideal life. But even when everything seems fine, deep down there's an emptiness. A question that keeps echoing, is this all there is? If that question has been with you, that may be the fifth mark, the relentless search for a greater purpose. The chosen rarely feel fulfilled by empty routines or soulless goals. They may try to convince themselves they're happy, but something inside screams. And over time, that scream becomes movement, a desire to break free, to start over, to leave everything behind, even if it seems crazy. Because when the soul is out of alignment with the path, no external success can silence the internal dissatisfaction. This mark isn't about wanting to be special. It's about being unable to accept a life without meaning. Those who carry this search live with a sensitivity to time, to purpose, to what resonates, and to what merely weighs them down. They feel they are here for something greater, not greater in ego, but greater in truth, in impact, in depth. And even if the path isn't clear, this soul doesn't give up. It keeps searching. And that search by itself is already a sign that something much bigger is approaching. Often, this search comes with disruption, career changes, drifting away from people, deconstructing beliefs. It's as if life removes everything that kept you distracted so that finally it can place you in front of your true mission. And when that happens, you begin to feel a new energy taking shape, a different direction opening up, a feeling of finally being aligned with who you came here to be. And that feeling is priceless. If you feel you're constantly searching, even without knowing exactly what for, honor that. That thirst isn't confusion. It's the calling. That dissatisfaction isn't weakness. It's your soul waking up. And once you understand that, everything changes, because this is the fifth mark of the chosen, not accepting to just live for the sake of living, but choosing to live with purpose. Now that you've heard each of these marks, take a deep breath. Be still for a moment. Don't rush. No need to rush to understand, to respond, or to move on to the next thing. Just feel. If throughout this video you found yourself in each word, each mark, each sensation, that wasn't a coincidence. It's because you're ready to take the next step. But hold on, awakening doesn't demand speed or perfection. Awakening demands presence. And the first step isn't outward, it's inward. It's accepting that yes, you feel differently, live differently, see differently, and all of that has a reason. The most important thing now is to stop running from who you are. How many times have you tried to fit in, to stay quiet, to mold yourself just to avoid judgment? But the soul can't stand being diminished. It becomes ill when it lives only halfway. That's why the first move is to embrace everything you felt here as your truth, to stop doubting, to stop explaining, and to begin, little by little, to live more truthfully. You don't need to make big, radical changes overnight. But you can start with simple things. Protect your energy, choose your company more carefully, listen more to your intuition, devote time to silence. Your soul needs space. It needs to breathe. It needs to reconnect with everything the world tried to silence. And for that, you don't need formulas. You need courage, the courage to follow what you feel, even if no one else understands. Another important step is to seek what truly nourishes you. Read, study, dive into what touches your soul. Spirituality, nature, art, writing, meditation, any path that brings you back to yourself. The more you connect with these sources, the stronger your light becomes. And the more your light grows, the clearer your mission becomes. Because the chosen didn't come just to feel, they came to serve, to transform, and to help others remember who they are. And finally, trust your timing. Don't compare, don't rush, don't pressure yourself. Awakening isn't a straight line, it's a cycle, a dance, a journey. And now that you've recognized these marks, the universe will begin to guide you with more clarity. And the most beautiful part? You don't have to do this alone. Because those who awaken eventually find others who carry the same light. Accepting who you are isn't just a symbolic act. It's a deep shift in your energy, in your destiny, and in the way life begins to respond to you. When you stop fighting your essence, something magical happens. The universe stops testing and starts guiding. The doors that were locked begin to open. The connections that were distant begin to come closer. And what once seemed confusing slowly starts to make sense. The world around you may stay the same, but the way you walk through it changes completely. You begin to attract situations that are more aligned with your frequency, people who resonate the same, opportunities that feel like they were designed just for you. Not because everything got easier, but because now you're walking toward who you were born to be, no longer running from what was always inside. When you accept your marks, your wounds stop being open injuries and become portals of healing. Intuition stops being an ignored voice and becomes your wisest guide. Sensitivity stops being weakness and becomes your greatest gift. Loneliness turns into solitude, and the search finally finds direction. You begin to live truthfully, and living truthfully is one of the most powerful ways to honor your soul. Accepting who you are is also frightening, because it requires letting go of old versions, masks that once protected you, stories that no longer serve. But with time, you realize none of those things were love. They were just survival. When you choose to love yourself as you are, with everything you feel, with everything you've lived, with everything you carry, your light begins to shine without apology. And that changes everything. Because in the end, accepting who you are doesn't distance you from the world. It brings you closer to your real place in it. You didn't come here to hide. You came to remember, to awaken, to guide. And now that you've seen all of this, now that you've felt each mark, there's no turning back. The journey has begun, and it's only just beginning. Maybe one of these marks gave you chills, maybe more than one, maybe all of them, and now you're there, with a lump in your throat, with your heart beating differently, with your mind spinning. And you know why? Because you recognize something that was already inside, but you hadn't yet put into words, a memory, a confirmation, a truth you've always known, but only now had the courage to face. And what if all of this is true? What if you really are someone who carries a greater mission, even without asking for it? What if those pains you've faced, those questions that never went quiet, those intense feelings the world called too much, were actually preparation? What if all of it isn't weakness, but the quiet refining of your soul? Maybe what you need now isn't to run from who you are, but to allow yourself to feel, to remember, to exist, fully and truthfully. Maybe this video didn't come to you by chance. Maybe it wasn't made to teach you, but to remind you. To remind you of what you already know, but had forgotten. To remind you that you're not alone, that this way of feeling makes sense, and that the difference that made you feel out of place is exactly your place. Because no matter how hard the road has been, you are where you need to be. And if you've made it this far, it's not because you were looking for answers, it's because you were hearing the call. The soul doesn't need many explanations, it just needs a sign. And sometimes a simple video, a simple phrase is enough to awaken what was dormant. Maybe this is your moment, the moment when, even without understanding everything, you feel something inside has shifted, something has awakened. And when the soul awakens, it doesn't go back to sleep. The questions remain, the challenges will still come. But now, you know where your strength comes from. The life of the chosen has never been easy, and the marks you carry aren't meaningless. Every pain, every silence, every ignored intuition, every feeling of being out of place, all of it was the universe shaping you for something greater. You don't need to understand the whole plan right now. You just need to take the next step. With awareness, with lightness, and with courage. Because this path isn't new. It was just waiting for you to remember who you are. If this message spoke to you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Share it with someone who also feels different, but maybe doesn't know why yet. Because sometimes a video like this sparks a light that changes everything. And before you go, comment below this phrase, "I accept who I am, and I open myself to everything I came here to be." By writing that, you seal what you felt and give permission for the universe to keep guiding you with even more clarity.